Good morning. I am 4 minutes earlier today. As always, if you're watching in recording, you're welcome to fast forward about 4 minutes to the beginning of the actual practice or stay with us through our hellos. Good morning, Joey. I'm gonna check the sound now on my computer. 4 minutes. Yay, the sound works. Good morning, Cindy. It's a little muggy here today, but on the other hand, there are mosquitoes, and they have this mosquito shawl that is actually quite useful, quite helpful. If anybody wants one, I can post a link. I'm impressed how it works. So I'm like wrapped on the shawl, but on the other hand, it's too hot. Good morning, Gina. All right, it is time for us to start. As we're nearing the end of our Real Love series, good morning, Jean. I want to spend a couple of days exploring how we may be able to move from anger, something that's quite present for many of us in our day-to-day life, move from anger to love. Let me read a chapter from Sharon Salzberg's book for you, and then we'll do a practice around it. This is the story Sharon shares. Years ago, while I was writing a blog post on my computer at IMS, an email from a student landed in my queue. This young man wanted to know about the nature of anger. I wrote back, explaining that becoming lost in anger cuts us off from other people. It limits our perspective and makes us see ourselves and the rest of the world with tunnel vision. When we are angry, and not we're merely feeling it, but when we're truly overcome by anger, it often seems like the only thing we can pay attention to is the person or the thing we're angry at. Anger also tends to make us put people in boxes, so we lose sense of our connectedness as living beings. Instead, we collide with the world, kicking whatever it is we think got in our way. And just after I clicked reply, the computer crashed and my stress hormones started pumping. As I tried to calm myself down, I realized that the most computer-savvy person at IMS was on vacation. My panic over missing a deadline quickly turned to anger. Anger at the person who was not available to help me. Anger at myself for not being able to fix the problem. Anger at the computer. Anger at the very fact that I was getting angry. Flashes of anger like these can seem automatic, but in the midst of this quick reaction, I sat with my feelings. I made an effort to notice what my mind was doing. Did sitting with my feelings mean that the anger suddenly went away? Definitely not. But by inviting myself simply to notice what was coming up, I gave myself space to see that my anger was creating tunnel vision. I remembered that I had actually urged our computer person to take a break from work. I had even helped to arrange his trip. And a little later, as my panic subsided, I finally managed to fix the computer snafu myself. Anger at a person or a computer has a different flavor than outrage at injustice or violence. The sheer heartbreak that fills us as we witness intense suffering can naturally call forth a strong cry of no that we know as anger. However natural it might be to feel angry, it is still useful to examine what it's like to be repeatedly overcome by anger and the consequences, both to ourselves and to others. Most of us are very familiar with the strange, addictive quality of anger, how it fills our minds and how the rush of energy that accompanies it makes it hard to turn off. As the Buddha said, anger, with its poisoned source and fevered climax, is murderously sweet. Anger, with its poisoned source and fevered climax, is murderously sweet. When someone or something makes us angry, our bodies and minds effectively have an immune response, much like inflammation in the body. We instinctively try to self-protect, similar to the way blood rushes to the site of a sting. But when anger becomes chronic, we start to see everything through a very narrowed lens. So how can we resolve problems when our vision is constricted and we feel separate from others? Can we learn to recognize ourselves and one another even when our minds and bodies are on fire? Though the energy of anger might lead us to action, it can be so interlaced with fear and tunnel vision that we recklessly lash out, hurting ourselves in the process. Yet, if we learn to recognize and let ourselves experience anger when it arises, we can use its energy productively and avoid becoming embittered and consumed by it. Paying attention actually dissolves anger's toxicity and allows us to detect the fear, grief, the feelings of helplessness that a surge of fury often masks. It's often hard to see anger as being a complex feeling. After all, when something makes us angry, we tend to feel inundated in a static state of being, and we fixate on it. But when we practice being more mindful of anger as it arises, we can actually prevent ourselves from getting lost in the state of tunnel vision, and instead, we can see that anger is multifaceted. It contains emotions like anxiety, fear, sadness, and even love. Recognizing these elements of anger makes it seem more complex, but also it makes it more manageable. Anger is not solid and irrepressible as it may seem. It is part of our changing system of feelings and conditions, and a life system that is ever shifting and ephemeral. So today, let's do a practice of recognizing the many sides of anger through RAIN. I'll remind you that this acronym stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. Recognize what's happening, allow life to be just as it is in this moment. Investigate with kind and curious attention, and then nurture with loving presence. So take a comfortable position, and as always, take a few moments to settle into your body, your heart, your mind. Settle into your breath, allowing it to be natural, allowing it to be soft, not forced. As always, see if you can get a sense of spaciousness in your breathing, so that all the experiences of the present moment can flow through you as energy without struggle. Now bring to mind a specific instant of feeling angry. Take some moments to enter the experience fully, visualizing the scene or situation, remembering the words spoken, sensing the most distressing moments. Remember that contacting the charged essence of the story is the starting place for exploring the healing presence of rain. The first step of rain is to recognize what's happening. So as you reflect on that situation that brings up anger, ask yourself, what is happening inside me right now? What emotions come up? Maybe amidst all this anger, beneath it, there is some shame, grief, helplessness, hopelessness. Maybe there is a desire to avoid what you're feeling, to shrink, to hide, to run away. What physical sensations are present? Do your muscles tense up? Is there an urge to cry, Remember that anger and stress produce the stress hormone cortisol, which raises your blood pressure and accelerates heart rate. So if you're experiencing any of these physical sensations now, it's completely normal, nothing to worry about. And with that, we move to the next stage of rain, allowing life to be just as it is, without trying to change anything. So whatever comes up for you as components of your anger, allow all these feelings to simply be just as they are. Send a message to your heart to let be this entire experience. Find in yourself the willingness to pause and accept that in these moments, what is, simply is. You can experiment with mentally whispering words like, yes, let be, I consent. With each inhale, envision opening up to all the discomfort and pain associated with this experience. With each exhale, release any pressure you may feel to change stuff, to react to the suffering in any particular way. Allow your reactions to be what they naturally are. You might find yourself saying yes to a huge inner no, to a body and mind painfully contracted in resistance. You might be saying yes to the part of you that tells you, I hate this, I don't want to do this. That's a natural part of the process. At this point in rain, you are simply noticing what is true and intending not to judge, not to push away, not to control anything you find. And now we're moving to the third step of rain, investigating with a gentle, curious attention. So bring this interested and kind attention to your experience. Anger may be very uncomfortable, but it's also addictive. In tough situations, anger emerges as a defense mechanism, a tool to help you energize so you can handle whatever catalyzed the feelings. We convince ourselves again and again, whenever we get angry, that the inner fire of anger will help us deal with whatever or whoever injured us. Yet we often injure ourselves even more deeply by allowing the toxicity to take over. The good news is that we can intervene in moments of anger, as we learn that letting anger control us is often the greatest enemy of all. So in that situation that you're exploring today, was there anything concrete you could do or say to make the things better? Maybe leaving the room where a heated conversation took place, or taking a walk to cool down. If there is nothing you could do in the moment, it's okay. What does the most vulnerable part of you need right now to lessen the felt memory of being angry? Remember, you're not trying to suppress anything. Instead, you're looking for real self-care that acknowledges that all feelings are okay. Accepting ourselves, angry as we may be, is also an act of compassion. an act of love. These moments will always come and go, again and again. And the final step of rain is nurturing our most vulnerable part with loving presence. So as you sense what is needed for you right now, simply provide it for yourself. It may be some words of reassurance. Perhaps just saying, "How human of me," is enough. Or maybe you need to send a virtual embrace inward, or even give yourself a real hug right now. You may also want to place your hands on your heart and recite the phrases of loving kindness towards yourself, repeating after me silently or out loud. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well in body and mind. May I feel safe, protected, at ease. May I know deep, natural peace. And now gently let go of your practice. Scan your body again. Notice what's happening for you right now, physically, emotionally, mentally. How are you, really? As you go through your day today, I invite you to start noticing when your anger arises. Remember, suppressing anger just makes the feelings more intense and insurmountable. See if you can notice what your anger is really comprised of. Is there some component of grief, sadness, helplessness, fear, maybe even love? Consider if there is anything concrete you can do or say to make the situation better. And if there is nothing specific you can do, simply be mindful of what's happening. Remember, this alone is an act of self-care and self-love. So enjoy your discoveries. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.